Would you, could you?
Would you, could you believe it now? A podcast about strange journeys, hidden truths, and wild beliefs. With Sami
And Rob. On this episode of Would You, Could You, Believe It or Not? Oh my God.
Believe it or not, would you, could you believe it now?
On this episode of Would You, Could You, Believe It Now, we're going to talk about the blue people and death.
Yeah, we're in El Morro National Monument Campground right now.
Yep, somewhere in New Mexico where there's absolutely no service, but it is beautiful and
SOS.
free camping. So,
There's satellites that we can connect to, not Starlink. We've talked about this already.
but the name of the book that we'll be discussing is Space Age Indians, and
awesome.
we
By
will be
Ardy Sixkiller Clarke.
Yep, and we'll be covering the first part of the book, the first third. Yeah, I'm freezing.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to show you how cool this was.
And
this
Ollie's
area.
here.
Ollie's here.
You gotta pick him up.
Gotta pick him up.
It's pretty, so we wanted the view.
And we'll go inside.
That's it. Bye. Okay, let's go.
We're inside, and it is a little bit warmer in here.
Just a little bit. Showcasing some artwork from our last stop in Snowflake, Arizona. This was a view. I don't know how well you can see it from here, but I'll be posting pictures of it. There's a photograph, a hand drawing like this with acrylic markers, and then I will also be remaking them in encaustic when we get home.
We also have salt and pepper and Jack's kibble.
And a red water bottle.
And this
Have
book.
a really good set. Oh, and Jack's here.
This is the book we were speaking about outside, Space
Yeah.
Age Indians by...
Ardy Sixkiller Clarke.
Yep.
She's a
And
professor at Montana University. She might be retired by now. Oh my gosh. Oreo.
she's professor emeritus at Montana State University.
Oreo's playing with the camera. She might knock it over.
She might.
Okay, yes.
She might knock it over.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness, what is happening right now?
This is camping with your animals. Oreo, come here.
Also, the RV is on a tilt as
Yeah,
well
we're all
that
a
we need to
little
fix. So we're all a little.
Okay, so what are we talking about, Rob?
We're talking about death still, but also the encounters with blue men in death. So I'm still reading this. I won't lie.
I read the whole thing already.
She's read the whole thing.
Naturally.
I'm reading it currently. I finished the first part with the blue men, which I think is really interesting. So, Dr. Clarke talks about, I think initially she was researching Native American women, I believe, early in her career, and then she kind of ended up being like the UFO lady.
Yeah, I think she was writing and studying a lot about like indigenous women's experiences, and
Yeah.
then I think it shifted at some point to paranormal stories, and then that, crossed over as it does into UFO stuff and aliens, and
Yeah.
there's not really a hard line. They blend. So, and then she became known as the UFO lady. And in this book, she travels around to reservations collecting stories from people that live on reservations about various star people. That's what they call them.
Pretty crazy, and it's
Yeah.
really short too. I mean, even if you're not like a
It's
avid
really
reader, some of the anecdotes are only like 2 to 3 pages long. Some are longer, but
Yeah.
it seems like she interviews people that are Native American and that are referred to her specifically.
Sometimes, and sometimes she just kind of like bumps into them. Oreo's chirping. I think it's a reflection off the book.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll put the book.
It's a really good book though, and I was gonna say something when Oreo interrupted me. But
I was just talking about how she finds the people to interview, and
Yeah.
she says she has like thousands of stories, but
oh yeah,
she has to kind of sift through and figure out like who she believes and who she doesn't.
kind of. I don't think she does that.
I thought I read something early in the book
Maybe.
that said that she
Maybe
had
it's
to
that
like.
sometimes they're not everyone has the best intentions when they share their stories, I guess.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Ollie
What is it, Ollie?
Ollie wants to talk today.
Ollie has a lot to say about this topic.
I think he is hungry, but
Oh, what time is it? What time is it for real?
oh, I don't know. I thought you were looking down at your phone.
I don't know.
I don't have my phone on me.
4:40. Ollie, calm down.
Chill out.
There's plenty of time.
You got an hour.
Just recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So, these stories I think are super cool. I've literally never heard of this book before, Sami.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. We're reading it. We're not sponsored by the book or the author.
Nope,
We're sharing it just because we really like it. And we're reading it as part of a book club that we're in. And we're like, let's talk about it because it's really cool.
It also relates to death, I think, in a way.
No, definitely. All right, he's going to go into a... So, did you want to read a passage? Did you have
I
a
could.
particular one?
I didn't have a particular passage that I looked up that I want to share, but she goes into a lot of detail specifically. I mean, she mixes their names up and stuff, so you can't understand like where the person lives, what reservation they're on, or what name they have.
Let's do Wilson's story. It's really short.
Which one's Wilson's story? I get all the
Brotherhood
names.
kept me on Earth.
Ooh, that's
Yes.
a good one. That is a good one.
So I'll read. It's like 2 pages, so I'll just read it. Wilson. So this is written from Dr. Clarke's point of view. Wilson, whom I had met the day of the buddy reunion in Ira's hospital room, drove me to the funeral home to collect Ira's ashes. Spoiler alert: Ira is someone in the first chapter. During our drive, he admitted that he had added very little to the conversation about the Blue Men, but that he had his own story to tell and wanted to share it in private. He drove to the parking lot of the Waikiki Shell. Except for a sports car, the lot was empty. We climbed out of the car and sat on the hood of his Ford sedan before he continued. Quote, "What we witnessed in Vietnam changed my life forever. My grandfather used to tell me stories about the stars and the starmen, but he never told me about the Blue Men." End quote. "How did it change your life?" I asked. "If it hadn't been for the interference of the Blue Men, we would have all died that night. We didn't stand a chance. The Viet Cong were positioned in such a way that any movement, a rustle of a leaf, the flight of a bird, anything would have brought the full force of their weapons down on us. We were totally unprepared for their artillery, and yet we survived." "Did that bother you?" I asked. "Hell yes, it bothered me. I wondered if they saved us because we were Christian and the Viet Cong weren't. I asked myself if God was on our side and not the Viet Cong. I speculated that perhaps we were right and stood for good and the Viet Cong didn't. These questions almost drove me crazy. We were in their country. We were the aggressors. The war was wrong and we all knew it." "Did you find answers to your questions?" I asked. "I did, in the most amazing way, but it took some time." I watched this quiet man slide down from the hood of his car and look off toward the sleeping volcano that loomed over Waikiki. "Did you want to tell me about it?" I asked. "I found my answer up there," he said as he pointed to Diamond Head. I jumped down from the car and walked beside him. His gaze remained on the volcano. When I came back from Nam, I ended up at Ira's. Keeping with Indian tradition, he took me in. At one time, all of us used Ira's place as home base. We slept on the beach, surfed, and spearfished. We kept silent about our survival. But we all had the same question. Why us? We were all victims of Vietnam, but in a way victims of our saviors, the Blue Men. While we seldom talked about what happened that night, I seemed to be more questioning of the event. "So, are you saying that the others accepted the event?" "Yes, or at least more than me. When we talked about it, the general consensus was that the event was a part of our legacy as Indians. The Star People had always interacted with our people. Our ancestors knew them. Our grandfathers knew them. They were just looking out for us because we were Indians. They were our ancient kin, a part of our DNA." "And you? Why did you not accept it like the others?" "I wasn't sure. Hell, we had all heard star ancestor stories that the ancestors watched over us and protected us. It was easy to transfer that belief to the Blue Men. We knew they came from the stars and they saved us." "But did you believe it?" "I remember a story from my grandfather. He told me of a whole Cherokee village being saved by beings from the stars. The whole village was literally picked up and transported to another place as the aggressors approached. He said the Star People watch out for us. They always have and always will." "But do you believe the Star People look out for our people?" I asked. "I do now," he said as he began walking away from the car. I caught up with him and noticed his labored breathing. I urged him to sit down, but he seemed lost in his thoughts. He raised his head toward the sky, closed his eyes as if allowing the sun to warm his face. When I first came back, I thought of re-enlisting. It's hard to believe that I even considered such a thing, but all I knew was war and the jungle. Every morning I set out for a walk up Diamond Head. It kept me in shape and away from people. In the afternoons, I looked for work. I finally found a job down on the docks, but it was only part-time, so my journey up Diamond Head was delayed until the late afternoon. I didn't enjoy walking as much since tourists were often walking the trail by that time. Were you ever on top of Diamond Head at night? I asked. I often imagine what the view must be like. That's where I saw the blue men, he said. Are you saying that you saw them after you were in Vietnam? He nodded. Will you tell me about it? You are not supposed to stay on Diamond Head after dark. In fact, you aren't even allowed to begin the climb after 4:30 p.m. You can be arrested by the military if you disobey. In the 1900s, Diamond Head was a defensive military lookout. Obviously, it was not operational during the Pearl Harbor attack, I said. He looked at me and shrugged. Anyway, since that time, it has become a U.S. natural monument. Part of the volcano is closed to the public, and today serves as a platform for towers and satellite dishes used by the government. Did you go into the forbidden area? I asked. He nodded. My experience in Vietnam helped me hide from the enemy. I consider the government operations in Diamond Head as the enemy. From my vantage point, I was able to view many things: the beach, the city, and UFOs. UFOs? Yes, I saw UFOs. I saw them approach Diamond Head and disappear. I think they must use a cloaking device of some kind. They disappear so no one sees them. But I saw them. I also saw the blue men. Did they see you? Yes. They told me to stay away from this place because I was in danger. Why? They never told me. But they told me that on that night in Vietnam, they saved us because we were not the aggressor. When I explained that I had many questions, I wanted to know what happened to the Viet Cong bodies. And they said they took them. They were safe on another world where there was no war. Did you believe them? Yes. They told me they would take me there if I wanted to go. I told them I couldn't leave without my buddies. They said they could not wait and that I must leave this area. That was the end of our conversation. Did you leave the area immediately as they asked? I had no choice. Suddenly they came toward me and the shimmering blue light surrounded me. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in my car parked in that very spot. I think they put me there. He turned and looked at his parked car as we made our way back to it. Have you ever told the guys about your encounter? No. I think there are some things best unsaid. I don't understand. I was tempted to go with the blue men, but loyalty and brotherhood kept me on Earth. I couldn't leave the guys that had helped me survive in Nam. I know if the situation was reversed, they would not leave me. That was our motto. One for all. I couldn't go. And then it ends, I see Wilson every time I go to Honolulu. Wilson takes me to the town of Halewa. Wilson takes me to the town of Halewa to enjoy a shaved ice at the world-famous Matsumoto's. He says he waits until I visit the island to go there. On our drive, we always talk about the blue men, but to date, he has not been visited again. He admits that not long after his encounter, he ceased his daily trek up Diamond Head. That was Wilson's story. Alright, what do we think?
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they are interfering with us.
Well, first I'll just say, most of the stories, they kind of read that way. Where it's tough. Like, when I first started reading it, I was like, I've heard stories like that. But, I hear them, like, here and there. So when you hear them isolated, it sounds like, okay. But to have so many like that,
16 of them,
back to back, and you're just like, another one and another one and another one and another one. I found that I was having to really ask a lot of questions. I have that logical, Western civilization side of me that's like, nah, this has to be made up. This must not be a true story, and people just mistook it for one. That's what my brain wants to do, wants to say. And then, but I know better. I know to challenge that. And so in challenging that, I'm like,
well, because you want to say, well, what's stopping someone from reading this book and then being like, hey, I got a story about the blue people, but then if she's mixing up where they live and their names,
she doesn't.
You're not doing it for attention. How can anyone even know it's you?
Yeah, she changes everyone's names and locations. So we really have no idea exactly who she's talking about.
No idea.
Because she'll mix and match things.
I think she said Hawaii in a couple, but I don't know Hawaii. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go all over. It could be Iowa.
It could be true, and she really didn't change much. We don't know. But that's why she says in the book why people trust her with their stories, because most do not want to be well known for it at all. They don't want anyone knowing that it's them that had the encounter, which, I mean, do you blame them? That sounds insane to our modern Western culture. This sounds
is almost
nuts.
like just like ghost journalism. You know what I mean? Though. I mean, I know she's doing like a huge service to these people by like putting the word out there and making it into like a cohesive thing, because like you're not going to go to
book
you're not
about
going to
this topic either.
It's not.
No. Yeah.
But you're not going to go to like CNN or like some newspaper and be like, oh, look what I saw. You know what I mean? This is something that needs to be looked at on a bigger level. And she even mentions that she is so backed up. Like, she has so many anecdotes from so many reputable individuals that she could hire like 2 assistants and then still not have like all of them out. It would be like tens of whatever books.
Because you don't realize how many people do have encounters like this, but they don't talk about it because there's no easy place to put these things. And then a lot of people will have encounters, but they don't. It's like a really fuzzy memory, kind of like, you know, to our point in our last conversation, or one of our last conversations, talking about how our neurons work, that if you grow up in a society where this stuff isn't talked about, your ability to perceive an interaction with it is going to be limited. But if you grew up on a reservation where you hear these stories, you've been hearing them about your ancestors, it's like you are already, I'll say primed, that's not the right word, but like your brain is already kind of wired to be able to handle it better, and also to be able to perceive it. So whether you believe it or not, just the familiarity with it is enough that, okay, if you then did have an encounter, you would be able to record more of it than someone that didn't grow up in that society. So I'm not surprised to see that there's this many stories on reservations in particular, and that they're far more detailed, I think, than encounters that are not on reservations.
And these are just people that trust her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's probably other people that are like, that was, you know, they're like writing it off, or maybe they're like too scared to go to her. Yeah. And then there's probably only so much land she can cover, you know? So
she's been doing this. I think she's retired now. I don't think she's teaching still.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Professor Emeritus, that means she's not.
Oh, okay. I mean, she's retired.
Yeah. I think.
Okay. Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, she's been doing this for a really long time.
But I think it's very interesting how the blue men or the star people keep people from...
Okay, so you want to get into the actual aliens.
I kind of do.
Have a tissue. I know I need one if we're going to keep going here.
A cat almost ate those tortilla chips earlier.
Cat did eat those tortilla chips.
So, I mean, I think it's really interesting... on multiple reasons here. Multiple reasons. There's a lot I want to talk about.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
Are you going to cut that out, or are you going to zoom in on that?
Oh, I will cut it out. Okay, where do you want to start?
I think I want to start with how these beings, also how they're described, and then also like what path the human is going to take, because it seems like they give them a direction. Whenever like the person is approached by the blue people, they were like, okay, this or that. Yeah. Do you want to come with us, or do you want to stay here?
So kind of like what that story, Wilson's story, talked about. They offered to bring them off planet to another world, and that comes up in a few of the.
At least 4 or 5 of them?
Yeah, several. And in just a section, so this is split into, like, the first section's the blue men, and then it goes into, like, reptilians and insectoids, and the last one was kind of a mix. But they... You can't yawn because we're both on here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have to yawn.
It's just this time. It's the time of day.
No, it's not you. Okay. So, yeah, there's a lot of the stories where these people, like, don't know each other either, as far as we know, but they talk about the blue beings looking the same, which we didn't really get a description of the blue beings in that story, but they're described as looking humanoid, like they look like men, but they're glowing blue, and the people struggle to get like the experiencers struggle to get like any details. Like they're not necessarily
No
seeing a face.
facial features.
And not that they don't have any. It's just like they can't see it. But also these situations that they're encountering them are really intense for the most part because they're encountering them in a time of
life or death.
Yeah, life or death is dangerous. So they don't really. I don't know.
They also describe them as like 7 and 9 feet tall.
Yeah, they're really tall and strong. Like they can just like.
One like ripped 2 car doors off, grabbed some guy out of like an upside down car.
No, it was a boy. It was like a teen. He had just graduated from high school, and he was at a party, and he was supposed to be going off to college to medical school, and him and his friend left the party. They were both drunk, but thought his friend was less drunk, and she went around like a hairpin turn and crashed the car, and she didn't make it, but he was like actively heading out when the blue men showed up, and yeah, they just like flipped the car over, ripped the doors off, and they healed his head.
They put their hands on his head, and then he felt like a burning sensation, and then when they got to the hospital, the doctor was like, "This is healed." So
some of the things that these encounters have in common is blue men, tall, glowing, strong, healing abilities with their hands, and each person says that it's like they lay their hands on them and then they feel this intense heat, and it almost hurts a little bit, and then their pain's gone and whatever was wrong is gone.
And then
they all had that in common. And then they're mentioning off planet, but then also too, like the Vietnam stories, that was like one of them, but at the very beginning there were other Vietnam stories. They talked about how they didn't consider any of the soldiers to be aggressors of the war on either side. So the U.S. soldiers in Vietnam and then the Viet Cong, they said that the blue men mentioned this was a war amongst governments, and so neither individuals. So we offered them the same we offered you, and they accepted you didn't. That's all. They're like, but there. I mean, I guess I was gonna say like there isn't anyone that accepted it, but I guess if they did, we wouldn't have their story.
Yeah, and then they also mentioned in the book that there were like all their guns and stuff were like all over the place, like hung up like in trees.
Yeah.
And like all kinds of like possessions all over the place, like they're just gone.
Yeah, like they were just. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know where we watched it, but it was a documentary about this man in Canada who had strange encounters or UFO encounters, and he was really smart. He was like an inventor, and he made a bunch of stuff in this really tiny town, and he was really good friends with this other guy that grew up there, and he didn't really have family, I don't think, but he kept saying like there have been like a string of UFO sightings, and like that community saw it, and then he ended up telling like his best friend, "Oh yeah, they've been coming for me. They've been talking to me. They're gonna take me. I'm gonna be gone. You're not gonna see me again." And the friend's like, "Ha, funny. That's weird, but funny." And he's like, "No, really, I'm leaving." And then one night there was a storm, like a really bad like thunder lightning storm, and there were strange lights and strange loud sounds, and everyone in the community realized that after that storm, this guy did go missing. And there was this huge search party for him, and like I think he maybe had a mom. He just had a mom and a sister actually, but I think he did. He had a mom and a sister.
This seems familiar.
Is
he from Texas or Canada?
It's Canada.
Is he a Texas guy too? No.
I have no idea. I would have to rewatch it. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, please say it in the comments. But it reminds me of that because he's like, "No, they're gonna take me," and then he goes missing.
That's wild.
He goes missing, and they can't find him, and he's never come back. And the police tried to say that they found his truck like up in the woods and had been set on fire or something.
Okay,
but then the friend and sister were like, "That's not his truck," and the police were like, "Yes, it is." They're like, "No, it's not." And
they're like,
"Yes,
the
it is."
VIN's different. They're like, "No,
it's not the same." They're like, "It's not the same color. It's not the right license plate," and they're like, "No, it's his truck."
Yeah, they said it was burned, right? They burned it.
Yeah, but they said that they thought. So what happened was, because he kept saying they're going to come take me and I'll never come back, that story started to go around, and they think that the police were like, "Well, we got to squash that. We can't have people knowing aliens can take you off," and that they tried to say, "Oh, it was like he himself and went up to the mountain," and but there's no evidence of it, according to this documentary. It just reminds me of that, though. But I have heard some cases, too. There's another... I don't remember where I heard it, but... of, like, a mother and daughter that go missing after saying that they were going to be taken to another planet. And it was specifically a planet, I believe in the story. I need to remember where I read this, but...
Yeah.
Where it was only women on the planet.
Oh.
The
Wow.
aliens came to them and were like, would you like to live on a planet with only women? And the mother and daughter were like, yes, please. They're like, it's a bit of an experiment, but we have a planet where we're doing
all
this.
my
And
problems
they're like,
will go away.
yeah, yeah, take us. And they willingly went, it seems.
That's incredible. Stop.
If I ever go missing, nowhere.
I won't call the cops.
I'm happy leaving be.
I'll just keep going.
Yeah. Just
It was
reminded me
funny,
of that.
yeah.
I don't know where I read that. I've read so many things on this topic that it's all getting like mixed up.
But it's pretty crazy how they can like kind of control. They want to like. There's another one where the high schooler that you were talking about, the high school boy, he was paralyzed from the waist down, and he probably would have died if they didn't interfere.
Yeah.
Like 100% would have died.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, you're not. They're pretty much like, you're not dying.
Yeah.
But they ripped him out of the car. Like you were saying, they healed his head. Paralyzed from the waist down, paralyzed in, I think, his right arm. And he was just like way smarter when he got out of there. Like way smarter.
Yeah,
He'd go through a book like this in like a second.
Not a second, but
he'd be
basically
like,
the way it's described. It's like you could,
yeah, just like finger down, boom, 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 boom.
but it's not even that he could read fast. It's that he was processing and understanding quickly
And interested.
So the speed, yeah,
in
like he read a
everything.
dictionary.
He read a dictionary.
That's not interesting.
He read poetry, like a whole
Poetry's
book.
fast.
No. Like this was like Emily Dickinson, Edgar Allan Poe, like
Oh,
all
like
these
he
like
read like
literature,
literature.
like volumes of
Yeah.
like algebra.
That would make you smart.
All
right
kinds of
there.
like scientific books, just like blasting through.
Yeah.
And he was upset because he wanted to be a surgeon. He wanted to be a doctor, I think.
He wanted to be a surgeon specifically, and so not having good use of the arms meant he couldn't.
Yeah. And
Anyway.
so then he went through like a depression, you know, because he like couldn't. He wanted what did he say? A hot wife.
Well,
wanted, like, a
in the
beautiful
story
wife.
when he's talking to Ardy,
He's like, I want a beautiful family, a
Yeah.
beautiful wife, and a beautiful car, and
he said that because he was like, why would they leave me paralyzed? Or maybe she asked him that. Why do you think they left you paralyzed? They healed you, but they didn't heal that.
yeah,
And he's like, I don't know. Maybe their healing abilities can only go so far, or they were trying to set him on a different path. And I think it's Ardy that's kind of frames that, like perhaps they did you a favor. And he's like, yeah, I guess if I'm being honest, I only wanted to be a surgeon so that I would be wealthy and have like a hot wife and kid and like cute kids and stuff. Like he wasn't like, he was ready to go to college for this, but his intention was not to actually help people. And so he's like, yeah, if I'm being honest, my intentions weren't great. It was for myself and wanting something kind of superficial. And so she was like, well, perhaps there's a reason they let you stay disabled then, so that you wouldn't make that mistake, because that sounds like that could have been a really big life-altering mistake. Maybe not quite as severe as drinking and driving, but depends how you feel about it. And then she talks about it, that he goes on to, after she interviews him, he goes on to go to the local like community college on his reservation.
yeah, like the tribal college.
And then he goes on to there to still medical, but like medical research.
But I think he finished the tribal college, which is a community college, in
Really
like
fast.
6 months instead of 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then just went off. So yeah, that's an example of them like, hey, you're not gonna die, but you're gonna be like this and maybe have an opportunity.
So, death. what does this make you feel and think about death?
Without this author, I thought that guy was just left paralyzed. Whatever, he's paralyzed, he's at home, he's depressed. Like, they saved him, but he's still living.
Yeah.
The question she asks, she says, well, can't you turn that into something positive?
Right, reframe it.
That makes me think maybe that the blue people wanted him to do that work.
So maybe they could have let him die, but they're like, well, there's an opportunity for this person to be helpful. So we'll save him because they could see the future, basically.
Potentially, or just, hey, you're Native American.
So that there could still be like a familial DNA ancestor.
Those are like the
connection.
two kind of like theories I have as to why this is going on.
Yeah.
Because like, wouldn't they just tell him? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it comes into interference.
Hey, your life purpose is to... Yeah.
Right. They can interfere, perhaps, but only to a certain point. Or I guess if you want to be helpful to someone, you would only want to interfere up to a certain point. Because if you interfere too far, you're not going to be helpful. Right? If their genuine intention is to be helpful to people, then, and they're wiser than we are, then they would cap it to a point, Because, like, there's so many, like, I feel like I can relate in certain ways where there's things that I thought I wanted when I was young, when I was coming out of high school. I really thought I wanted that. It did not work out. I'm like, oh my God, that didn't work out. Like, dating certain people, like, woo, good thing that didn't work out, like,
Good thing.
If life hadn't kind of redirected me, I could see how I could be miserable, I lost my train. Where was I going?
You were going with capping it, not giving them too much?
Well, yeah, but then if you... Okay, because I think sometimes we think, well, they didn't do what I wanted, so that wasn't helpful. But doing what we want, like, we're dumb. We don't know what we want. Like, we think we know what we want, but do we really? Like, I'm going to bring it back to hypnosis and hypnotherapy. There are so many things in the subconscious that's coping mechanisms, like, that affects our behavior. So something can be subconscious. We think we want something, but it's actually the desire stemming from a coping mechanism stemming from trauma, not a genuine core desire from who you are. Like, when you get into hypnosis and regressions, specifically for wanting to heal, you start doing it and you realize, oh, I don't know who I am. I'm buried under just caked layers of shit. And you gotta clear them out before you can really start to get a better picture of who you are and what you really want. Like, there were so many things that, some stuff I got right, but other stuff I'm like, nope, coping mechanism. Damn. Not authentic. And you don't realize until you kind of start going through a healing process. So it feels like, oh, it's interference, but is it interference if they can see who you authentically are and they know what you authentically want, and so they know to serve your authentic self, not your masked coping mechanism self? That's what it makes me think of, that there's something about them that they have a deeper insight. Which it sounds like, ooh, magical, mystical, but there are plenty of human beings that can see that in other people. I can see that in other people a lot of the time. I can kind of look and be like, yeah, it's coping mechanism. That's not who they are. Can't say that.
No.
Some people you can. Some people I can be like, if they're seeking out my help, then all right. Or in a scenario, I can say that, hey, I think that's coping mechanism. And 99% of the time, I'm right. And the other 1%, they lied.
Are you done?
Yeah, we're done. That's all I needed to say.
She's like, show me the all-woman planet.
Take me. Well, no, but it's that, like, that is believable to me, that they would have that ability to see that, because I have seen that correctly in a lot of people myself, and that I'm not a blue glowing being from another planet that I know of. far as I know. My mom said I was born here, so I have to just take her word for it.
Guess she's just gonna have to.
Yeah.
She has a birth certificate.
I do. It actually has a blue border on it.
There's a blue border.
It does. It's like that weird, like, old
Oh my god.
paper. What is it? It has like that weird, like, 90s print. It's like beige and white,
I know what you're talking
marbly looking background,
I
and
know
it
what
has
you're
this blue, like a navy blue border around it.
I may have the same one.
I don't know. Mine's from the state of Maine, so do our own things up there. Anyway, but that part is just believable to me. And there's been times too where I've given friends advice that other people are like, "Why would you say that? Like, are you sure about that?" I'm like, "Trust me." And it ends up being correct. Like, it doesn't sound like good advice at the time. I'm like, no, it's gonna be really good advice.
Sammy's like, turn into it. And they're like, no. And then they do. And then they're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like,
I always say if you're
okay.
spiraling out, you
Yeah.
turn into it. Like if you're spinning out on ice, you're supposed to turn into the spin because it stops you faster.
She's from Maine. She's from Maine.
I'm from Maine. I don't know the snow. I don't like it though. It's not snowing here. It's good.
No, sun's going down
Yeah.
and we don't have the heater on.
Yeah.
And we're on a tilt.
So we gotta finish this up. We still have good battery though.
Can we open this window yet or no?
Oh yeah, probably. See, we have a really good view, but the sun is too bright. Let's see if we can. Oh yeah, that's great.
Is it?
Yeah, you can see it. Push that back. Sorry. Okay. So, blue people, blue
Blue
men, blue star people. I say we attempt contacting them tonight.
You think so?
Yeah. We are not indigenous. We're not native in any way. Just wanted to say that, so they might not show up for us.
No, I doubt it. But I would be
Good
interested
shot.
to see like if there's like non-indigenous people that are.
You have seen the blue man?
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of encounters.
Well, I mean, other than like the Viet Cong, but because it seems like the Viet Cong saw 'em, but one's told the story because they're not on the planet.
No, but that's not. Yeah, they're not on the planet. It's fine. No, but it's. I'm sure that it's many. However, I think the difference might be about the ancestral stories. So they might be, when they say their DNA, like genetic ancestors, they might be that for all of humanity. It could be specific tribes of people on the planet, maybe. But it could also be humans in general. It's just that those stories, like if there was like an older time in like more ancient times where civilizations did have more regular contact, right?
Are you saying that because those groups of people have stayed together for so long?
Right, they've maintained the information where,
Ah.
right. So I'm like, I don't know. It might be a special connection with native indigenous tribes of the U.S.
Because I mean, like my family, Italy, then Boston, then
But I kind of like it could be. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying. But what I feel like, I have like a hunch kind of thing that it might be, or it's just like an idea that it could be that in general.
Hypothesis that in general.
Sure. That it could be that they are genetically related to all of us. But again, that there was a time when there was more. Like if you look at Diana Pasulka's work, please read her stuff. That really is what tipped me towards, oh shit, this is real. But she goes into like the Vatican, these really like old Catholic records of stories with angels or religious stories that were redacted, which means changed to match the Catholic Church's particular agenda. And so like they would change the descriptions just to be more like soft and gentle, and an angel came down in a glow of light and healed Joseph, right? Whatever. Like they edit it like that, but that the actual unedited documents are like rough and they read like a modern abduction story. So she started putting this together and was like, oh, right? That this has been going on a really, really long time. And that's exactly what these indigenous groups that have these storytelling, what's it called again? Vocal histories. There's another word for it though.
Oral history?
Oral history? yeah, I guess they have oral history. So a lot of their ancestors didn't write stuff down. They have like petroglyphs.
That's not an oral history.
No, it's not an oral history, but like they did that, but they didn't have like written word, but they had a very intense oral history. And I've read up on it a lot, and there's a lot of researchers that believe oral histories to be more accurate than written ones. And it's funny because the what's the word?
The game telephone.
Right. Well, that's what skeptics, the criticism of it. I need more coffee. The criticism of it is of oral history is just that, well, anyone could just change it. Okay, but then look at the Vatican changing all of these stories. The King James Bible. What are you talking about? Oral histories can be changed as if it's a game of telephone? No. Written history gets changed, and we know for a fact it has. The fact that there's even such a thing as something called the King James Bible is indication of an ancient written document that was rewritten by a king for his own use, for his own agenda.
Honestly, I feel like this is the first time I've heard of that.
How is that the first time I've heard of the King James Bible?
Maybe I wasn't paying attention in some documentaries, but
I mean, I was raised as a
Bible?
younger.
I don't know what that is.
That's like the modern Christian Bible that like Christians follow.
I was raised Catholic.
Yeah. Anyway, but the point is, skeptics and critics will criticize oral history, saying, "Well, that's just like a giant game of telephone," without understanding anything about how oral histories work and the way that these cultures go about it, because they don't just like, oh yeah, hey, did you hear the story once? Oh no, grandpa. Like, they're not like this. And this is a really good book, but they are very specific, and in their culture, like, they select out certain people who will be the storyteller. They will be the one passing down the information to the next generation, and they pick them when they're young, and they start training them really, really young, and they're trained by the previous generation's storyteller, and they'll have multiple too, and it's rigorous training. It's really intense training, and oftentimes these might also be the shamans or oracles, and it's really intense. And it's been consistent. And a lot of modern scientists and researchers are finding information, like there's been new discoveries that perfectly line up with indigenous oral histories. Way better than anything written. So, just wanted to say that. But going back to the original thing we were talking about with the why it seems like, other non-native or non-indigenous people that have these encounters, yes, I'm sure that there are, and that maybe the blue men are all of our ancestors, but if that we come from a culture that didn't maintain that history from a time when there was more interaction, then we don't have that information. That didn't get passed down to us. So if that didn't get passed down to us, we didn't grow up, like me and you, we didn't grow up hearing about that. Right? So when you remember again how perception works, how synapses work, that our brains have a ton of connections, but then as we grow up, our environment cues us like, this is important, that one's not going to be important, we don't need that one anymore. Right. You don't perceive that thing anymore. And it can be that literal. Like, there are tons of studies where there's certain groups of people where, because their language doesn't include, I think it's maybe Japanese, certain dialect, they don't use a certain consonant. It's a type of R sound, I think, and I could be wrong, could be mixing this up, but they literally don't hear it. So when they're trying to learn a language that does have that consonant sound, they're like, what? Their brains just omit it. They don't hear the sound. They do not hear it.
That's not fair. It's the table.
Oh, is that like someone was outside going,
no.
woo? Okay.
The table's squeaking.
And then they've done this too with certain colors. Like they've done studies where they basically blocked, like, probably on mice. I don't know if they did it on a human, but probably. They'd never let a young, like, baby see a certain color, and then as they get older, oh no, it was cats. They did a study with cats. Look this up, please. Don't take my word for it. Oh. They did a study they had different groups of cats, and there was one group that they only ever had, like, squared off furniture. And for the first, like, several years of their life, they only had that shape. And then another, and I might have to get this wrong again, but I think it was, like, only rounded stuff. And then they swapped them. The cats that grew up in the corners only were like, they couldn't understand what they were seeing. They were like so confused. And then the cats that only grew up in the round room kept smacking into all the corners because they didn't see them.
Oh.
They didn't see them. The brain literally omits visual input. Like, the brain is obviously capable of picking up on it, but it's like, well, this wasn't important when we were young, so, and you don't experience it. So when I say, like, I'm applying this very literally, and I don't think I'm wrong to do it. If you think so, that's great. But we could have been having encounters. We could have regular encounters for all we know. They could be here right now, like, oh, good point. Very good point. We don't know. If we didn't keep a synapse that was close enough to what they are, we would not know. We wouldn't be able to see them.
Very good point, corner people.
Thank you.
Look at our round ship.
Right. And like, so they could be here. It's just our ability to perceive them when and if they do show up is extremely limited, to the point where the best we might get is like, I think I had a weird dream. I don't know. I guess I took a nap. I don't know what happened, right? At best. Or, no, nothing happened. What are you talking about?
Right.
That didn't happen. What are you talking, right? Like that kind of experience. But then, ooh, what time is it? We gotta feed the cats soon. Okay. We're gonna wrap this up. But like that's, okay, but then the reservations, they grew up hearing these. So their ability to remember it is going to be higher, which again is why I think maybe these are so much more detailed. And so I do think there are stories of non-Indigenous people having these encounters, but they're not as maybe detailed, or we don't hear about them as much. Because you're also, think about how hard it was for still all of these people to actually share their stories.
Extremely hard. And
they grew up in an environment where they're hearing their grandparents talk about the starmen and the star people, and that they had this rich ancestral history with them, right? And they're still like, Blue Man healed me last night. Right? They still feel so uncomfortable. They feel so awkward about it. They really struggle to process it. Some of them get really, like, some of the other stories, it's rough. They're having a rough go, right? So how is someone that doesn't have any of that context, if they manage to remember the experience, how do they begin to talk about it?
Especially veterans.
Like, we're not going to get that story.
Especially, I mean, there's a lot of veteran stories in here, but like usually veterans will like never talk about anything.
Yeah, well, they're not allowed to for the most part. Well, it depends on what they do, but right. So their ability to actually say stuff. So do I think that more people have had encounters? Yeah, probably, but you would have to be exposed to the information to be able to begin to process it. Which is why I think when people do start hearing about this stuff, like if they've never really been interested in it, and they've never looked into it before, and then it kind of gets put in front of them, like via a disclosure movement, they can kind of freak out. Because, like, what if they have been having experiences and they don't really, like, a part of them might know something's off, but maybe they don't really know what it is. Maybe they think it's just weird nightmares, or just, you know, like they can't get a good grip on it. But then when someone starts talking about it, the synapses start connecting, and then they can be like, what? Right? I might freak out, you know? That I could see why some people be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm remembering stuff. That could be really scary. It also opens up so many other consciousness questions that we do not have time for. I feel like we didn't even talk about death.
I mean, I kept trying to like put it back, and then.
Okay, quick, you got like 3 minutes to talk about death.
Can't do it in 3 minutes.
What were you gonna say? I bet you can.
I was just trying to say that these blue men, these star people, keep people from dying. Because of all of the anecdotes, all the stories that we told and shared today, it seems like they keep people from dying.
A premature death.
A premature death. There's another one where they like completely shield the guy when the Viet Cong is like raining bullets on him, and so he's just sitting there like, you know, he got like wounded or something, and he's like, "Oh, this is it," and then all of a sudden the blue man like hovers over him, and then just like completely like bullets are like ricocheting off.
So we don't have time for all that. But
okay.
How does it make you feel any differently about death?
It makes me feel like it may not necessarily be in our control, right? It could be, but there's other beings that have the capability to not have us have a premature death.
But how does that make you feel about death in general, though? Does it change anything? You still afraid of death?
I mean, yeah, it'd be cool if one of these guys would be like, "Yeah, you're gonna live to like 100," you know?
So you just want one of these
Just
blue
be
men
like,
following you around
yeah.
everywhere you go? You're like,
yeah.
Thanks, bud.
Don't twist your ankle on that. Okay, good.
What if that's what spirit guides are?
I'm not
Next episode.
I haven't read. I need to read the rest of this book as my homework for tonight, but also need to figure that out.
All right, we're gonna see. We're gonna try to contact them.
I think this was good. This is a better conversation than the last one.
Don't expect. Oh, this is something I wanted to say. Don't expect us to get anything on camera. I might try. However, if we do see something wild or amazing, I'm probably not going to try to film it, or I'm not going to care that much about showing it if I do.
Why?
Because AI has gotten so good that if someone else filmed something incredible and showed it to me, and I've seen some incredible videos, my brain will not let me believe it. I'm gonna be like, I really want to, but I don't know you. That could be AI. I don't know you. It's gotten good enough now. Especially something that's already anomalous. I can't tell the difference. I cannot tell the difference. I wish I could. You know, maybe I might be able to intuit a little bit and have a hunch, but I won't know for sure. I'm I'm not sure, I might have some psychic abilities, but that doesn't mean that I'm not still vulnerable to disinfo and being manipulated and lied to. That could still happen. So to me, it doesn't feel nearly as important to share video. I don't think it's helpful.
Okay.
I don't think it's helpful. If we happen to get it, I can try. But the biggest thing that I would say is I'll share the experience, but you really can't know about this stuff until you have your own experience. But if we can go to a location, go camping, and have an experience, that means you can too. So go do it. There's no amount of video showing that's going to make you believe anything. You will have to see it for yourself. So that's all I'll do is share the information and just go find out for yourself. I think ultimately that's what this is about. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm not going to be able to convince you of anything. I don't want to. Whatever. Okay. But it's about you.
Sammy's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. You gotta go out there.
But you have to have your own experience. You can't. Don't take my word for it. You can let this inspire. It can be inspirational, but don't take my word for it.
Not on my watch.
Alright.
He's so serious.
You're ruining it.
I'm not ruining it. You're just so serious about it.
Because it's true. I'm not gonna believe some video of a light coming. If a light just like came up right now over that mesa. Like if I'm sitting here, so obviously I'm like watching it. I believe my own experience. But if I'm like on YouTube now watching this, I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do about it as a viewer? What are you gonna do? And I've seen other people's videos, and I'm like, it could totally be AI. I don't know. We don't know anymore.
Maybe, yeah.
But like, I think that's good. I think it's good that we can't tell, because go out and have your own experience. That's how we're getting numb to stuff. We're getting numb to stuff because we're just, oh. Right? Like, go out and have your own experience. Get out of the house and have an experience. Right. It won't be real till you do it. You won't really be able to believe anything. You're not really going to, like, change the brain chemistry until you do it. So, all right, we really need to go feed the animals.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Would You, Could You, Believe It Now? Do we just do that at the same time?
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.